Hey everyone, welcome back to Worn but Wild. Today we're getting into a little bit of nitty gritty. I want to talk about support, non support, support that feels like support but isn't, and beginning support that disappears. Now, I'm not here to call anyone out. Everyone has things going on in their lives, but one of the biggest issues I hear about and have been through myself is lack of support when it's really needed, or having people say that they're there for you and then them not being around. Unfortunately, this can be very common in cancer patients, but it happens to everyone. I hear people all the time talking about how everyone rallied when they were diagnosed, but then most everyone either dropped off during the journey or believed the journey ended when the cancer did. There's this belief, or maybe we could even call it a hope, that once someone is free from cancer, everything will just go back to the way it was before. This is not true. Cancer, serious illness, chronic disease, big life events, traumatic events, they all leave an everlasting mark in some shape or form. I know for me, it was a huge relief when I had my mastectomy and was told that I am NED, which is no evidence of disease. But this was barely a turning point. Once I was declared cancer free, I still had to undergo hormone therapy, several failed reconstructions, endless doctor's appointments, and many times that I was afraid I was having a reoccurrence. In the beginning, there were so many people who stood up and said they were there for me. Some even said they would shave their head. When it really boiled down to it, it was the people who stayed in the shadows, the ones who weren't looking for recognition, who were there the most. One moment that will always live in my heart rent free is my first chemo. I went in there in my tank top and maximum effort Deadpool PJ pants, sat in that chair, got hooked up, and got on video chat with my sister. We were giggling and goofing off, playing with the filters, and that's all I really remember about actually being there getting the treatment, which really says something because my first treatment was 8 hours long. I don't think anyone spends a lot of time thinking, wow, I made a huge difference in that person's life just by playing with filters. But that's what it was. A day that could have been terrible and terrifying and long is now just a memory of that time that I sat in a big comfy chair at the doctor's, joking around with my sister, who was always there for me. Another memory similar to this is the day I lost my hair. It was hard. And that might sound vain, but my hair was something I had always been complimented on. It was the body part that I was the most proud of. Hair that was long and straight, the kind I never have to do anything with because even when I just let it air dry, which was most of the time, it was so straight, people would ask me how long it took me to straighten it. This day was made special by a few people. Terry's caring and love when he shaved my head blew me away because for a person who doesn't get emotional often, his reaction really moved me. When I was coming out from him shaving my head, Briella was hanging out in her swing, and I was absolutely terrified that she was going to react badly to the change. I see videos all the time of babies who panic when they see their dad shaved his beard off, and I was worried that's what was going to happen. I walked out and knelt down in front of her holding my breath. She looked at me for a beat and then broke out into her huge, beautiful smile and started giggling. She reached for me to pick her up. I exhaled a sigh of relief, picked her up, and just held her for a while. A few minutes later, I took a picture of myself. A woman who has always been there for me, a woman I call Mom because she has always been a mother to me, saw the picture and called me her G.I. Jane. And for the first time all day, I felt strong. I felt like I could do this. One woman who worked with Terry at the time was always there for me, and was another one who never looked for recognition or attention for everything she did. She was always there when I needed to talk or to hang out and feel normal. When Terry and I got married in 2019, I had been dealing with a lot of issues due to failed reconstructions, unresolved seromas, clogged drains, you name it. My plastic surgeon had decided to go directly to implants from expanders without ever expanding them because of all of the issues as a last-ditch effort. By the grace of God, I had boobs to fill my strapless dream wedding dress I had bought a year earlier. I had them for 5 days, just long enough to get married, before I started having the same issues with the implants and had to have one removed. We got married at the courthouse, and as we left to go to the bowling alley for our low-key reception, I panicked. We forgot to get a cake. Who gets married without a cake? Terry, in his usual calm demeanor, told me not to worry about it. We get to the bowling alley and are having a great time. My best friend is keeping a close eye on Briella, and everyone who works with Terry is stopping by as they get off of work to congratulate us. I come to find out that our friend had contacted a local baker and had a special cake made, and it was gorgeous. It was white, two-tiered, covered in beautiful pink edible flowers, butterflies, and breast cancer ribbons, and it had a thing sticking out of the top that says, "Fight for Love." I was so touched at the thoughtfulness. The support train sometimes felt more like a roller coaster, especially because of people who didn't know what was going on or didn't care. I was at the store getting pop once and had a lady say, "Nice hair," laugh, and walk away while I was bald and in the thick of it. But at that same store on a different day, I had a big burly biker silently walk up and hug me and hold me for a few minutes, give me a meaningful look, and then just walk away. Once, shortly after my mastectomy, I was flat, had about an inch of thick new hair. I was wearing one of Terry's white tank tops because at that point I was all about comfort. As I was walking out of a store, a man I had never seen before called me a dyke to his girlfriend within earshot. I cried in the car for a while before I composed myself enough to go home. Around that same time, though, I had a random woman walk up to me in Subway, hug me, and tell me I was strong and to keep my head up. Some support however they can, especially if there's a lot of distance between you. At the time when everything was going on, we were struggling pretty hard. And in the summer in Arizona, our electric bill got up to over $600. And we were looking at a disconnection notice. Terry was working as much as he could, and I had tried to get disability only to be told I was too young. A GoFundMe page was started, and family and friends from all over the country donated and helped us get back on our feet. Even now, I find myself afraid to reach out to people sometimes. I might think about calling or texting someone and think, what if they don't want to talk to me? Or I'm probably just going to bother them. Or what if they're just being nice? Recently, I had a friend at church ask me if I wanted to meet up at the park to talk and let the kids play. She said there would be a couple of others there, and to be completely honest, I almost didn't go. Not because I didn't want to, or because I don't like them, but because I was afraid. I was afraid they wouldn't like me, or I would say something stupid. Or worst of all, I would do or say something that would make them lose their respect for me, because I have a lot of respect for these women. I was actually in the middle of baking brownies when it was time to leave the house, still debating on whether or not to go. I decided I would try it and picked up my phone to text them and let them know I was going to be late, thinking, great, now I'm going to look like I don't have myself together. But just as I went to pick up my phone, it went off. One girl had texted and said they were running late. I laughed and texted back, same. Then someone else said, us too. I immediately felt a little better, and so we went. As we sat there talking about life in general, things got deeper, and it seemed like everyone was saying things that we all feel and are sometimes just too afraid to say because we don't think others will feel the same or that someone will think badly of us. I found myself thinking, I'm so glad she said that several times. Sitting there talking about life and God with these amazing fellow women and mothers was healing. And all it took was someone being brave enough to open the door. Super vulnerable truth here, but even now, after the fact, I find myself thinking, what if I was a fourth wheel? Or, I hope I'm not annoying them when I text. But I know, or at least I hope, that those thoughts are because of me, not because of them or anything they've said or done. Throughout treatment and to this day, I have found that I have many supporters in the least expected places. From random people in public, to friends and family, to Terry's ex-wife helping us with Bree, to coworkers. As Dr. Seuss would say, it came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. It doesn't take money or things to be there for someone during their hard times. Before we wrap today, I want to give a shout out to a beautiful organization called To Write Love on Her Arms. They support people dealing with depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicidal thoughts. But more than that, they remind us that stories heal and that we are never alone. If you're in a dark place or just feeling unseen, visit TWLOHA.com. They've helped so many people keep going, and I think they're doing amazing work. Today reminded me of something I forget sometimes. I'm not alone. I might feel that way some days, especially when support is quiet or when life is heavy. But Psalm 23 says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. That verse hits differently when you realize the valley isn't just death. It's depression, burnout, isolation, and grief. And God doesn't wait at the end of the valley. He walks through it with us. Keep your head up and stay wild.